Hi everyone and welcome to episode 15 of Conquer the Curse at Benfica with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So a little bit of water under the bridge since we were last together in our group stages of the Champions League, which we qualified for, which was fantastic. So we now have moved forward we are sitting in mid-March of the following year. And we are in the knockout stages and we've drawn Liverpool, unfortunately. We played the first leg already at our home venue and got a 1-0 defeat. So now we go to Anfield. Can we turn that around and create a bit of a surprise today and get through? Let's find out. Welcome back to Benfica. So, before we get into that Champions League knockout stage, second leg against Liverpool, let's just cover the domestic stuff quickly before we move forward. So, if we go into the league table, you'll see that we're sitting in second position behind Porto by 2 points. So, we're keeping pace with them. The problem is, anytime that we drop a point or gain a point, they drop a point or gain a point. We've not been able to get anything over them so far, but we still have to play them this season. And behind them by 2 points means if we win that game, we could still get top of the table and go for the title. We'll see what happens, but the two of us are far in advance of everybody else in the league. So 2-horse race, can we take them at the last? We'll have to wait and see on that one. But for now, if we go into the competition page, you'll also see that we are through to the semi-finals of the Portuguese Cup. In terms of the Portuguese League Cup, we won it, which was fantastic. So domestically, we're still being very, very successful. And then we get into the Champions League. Second leg of our Champions League knockout game against Liverpool. They're 1-0 up from the first game. Oh, one thing that I do need to tell you about before we get into that match is that we have made one January signing. And it's because one of our players kind of got taken away from me without me really wanting it to happen. So let's check that out before we go into today's game. So the player out of the club is Goncalo Ramos. Unfortunately for us, it was Liverpool that bought him, and he's already come to bite me once in this particular fixture that we've now got to play against them, unfortunately. But he was one of our pressing forwards. He was a rotating option in that pressing forward role. And you can see if we go into his career stats, in that last season before he moved on, he played 16 times, got 9 goals. Last season, he got 21 in 27 starts for us. So he was really good, but a rotating option. We've got the likes of Darwin Núñez, don't know where Duno comes from, and Mukoko. Somewhere in there was a combination of those two that I was saying. But anyway, those two are our main strikers. This guy was the third choice and was doing that brilliantly well. And then Liverpool bid £42.5 million and my board were pretty happy to take that. So in the end, we had to go with that and he got sold. What I would say is, on paper, I think I've got a reasonable replacement. It's not somebody that I know particularly anything about, but Rocco Simic comes into the club, 20-year-old new gen, I believe, and he's come into the club. We didn't pay too much for him, considering we made 42.5 million. We spent 20 of it on this guy, bought him in from Salzburg. And he's a kind of similar player, really. What you would say is that his mentals and physicals are exceptionally good. And for a pressing forward, that's really, really essential. His technicals, the things like the finishing, the heading and composure, don't look to be great. But seemingly, the mentals and the physicals kind of counterbalance that, because he's got 9 goals in 8 starts and 6 substitute appearances for us so far. And is playing that rotating role really, really well for me. I'm kind of surprised at how well he's settled, but he's done brilliantly well, specifically against some of the lesser lights in the Portuguese league, it must be said. But he reminds me of, if you've joined me over on Twitch at all, I'm there every weekday afternoon with a save over there in the Nordic region, going through some Scandinavian teams. We had Erling Haaland's cousin, Charland, in our team there for a while when we were in Norway. And he was similar. Not brilliant on the technicals, but mentals and physicals meant that they absolutely powered him on to be a pretty big goal machine, to be honest, when we needed him to. So similar player here, but he's doing really well for me. And that's all the transfer news that we had from January. It was quiet. I mean, I let a load of other people go out on loan from our younger under-19 squads, etc. But other than that, the first team is intact. So that means that we're at pretty much full strength going into our Liverpool game. So let's switch focus and go and process what we're going to do against them to try and turn round that 1-0 deficit. So in terms of player personnel today, the only person out is Goncalves, our right wing option. Fortunately, Trincao is there and is our number one starter anyway. Actually, we've got our number one starting 11 out today. Everybody's fit and healthy. He's been rotated in and around the league and the cup matches, so that's been pretty helpful to us. So we've got a fairly full fit and healthy squad, other than, I say, Goncalves, who is out for the next 6 weeks, potentially, which is unfortunate. Knee ligament damage. So that's going to be a bit of a big one for him to recover from. But we've got options, which is good. We've got a fairly well-balanced squad. So for today, against Liverpool, we're going to go in with what we've been playing. It's been working for us domestically. Against some of these bigger sides, maybe we should be going with 3 in midfield to combat that area a little bit. But we're going to try and be positive and go with what we know. So we're going with the 4-4-2, and we're going with Sanchez in goal, Silic at right back, Benzebaini at left back, Badiashile and Zabani in central defence, Lewis and Hannibal in central midfield, Trincao on the right, Everton on the left, and Nunes and Moukoko up top, and a bench of Theatre, Ramos, Bernardo, Jota, Moreira, Simic, and Costa. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So today is not really a day to shy away from the task ahead of us. We are 1-0 down against Liverpool, playing at Liverpool Stadium. So I've pumped the fists. I've said we've got nothing to lose. We know how good we are. Time for everybody to show what we're capable of. And that's the hope today, that a couple of our big match players, the likes of Darwin Núñez, Moukoko, Trincao on the right, for example, those guys have to show up today for us to have any chance. It doesn't mean that they will, just because I want them to. But that's how we're going to win if we possibly can. It's going to be a tricky task. What I would say in the first game at our home venue, absolutely, which kind of puts a little bit in our favour. We did compete pretty well with them. But the thorn in my side was our previous striker, Ramos, who is playing as their number one striker in this particular match. And he's already come back to bite us with a goal in the first leg. I seem to remember it was a little bit of a pain. So that always happens, doesn't it? When you sell on a player and they come back and play you with their new team, it often results in a good performance. And there he is under the ball, heads it off, and they get Mo Salah down the right-hand side. But we hold him up enough, and then a brilliant save from Sanchez in our goal. Or did it hit the woodwork? Maybe it hit the woodwork. It was difficult to see from the angle, but somehow they didn't manage to get a goal, and that's as much as I'll take at the moment. But we are 13 minutes in, and we've yet to have any shot at goal at all, and Salah has potentially put them one up, although it looks like he's offside. He was offside, which is good. That's why our defence didn't seem to react too much, maybe, but we'll just check it. Goal disallowed. VAR has its say. Goal cleared off. We were quite close, though. I don't think it was too much of a margin. He was offside. It's fine. And we move forward. 15 minutes on the clock. We have yet to register a shot at goal. So what I'm going to do is go into the shouts and demand more from them, just to give us any semblance of momentum moving forward, really. We need to get something in the game. It's one of those moments where, I don't know, a crunching tackle or a good cross in or a close effort might just get the crowd on our side a little bit. Liverpool, for their part, have been a little wasteful in front of goal at this point. And we finally get our own highlight and a sweeping ball across to Everton into the box. Mukoko's there and it comes to Nunes and I think it gets cleared by hitting a defender basically and going flying over the top of the bar for a corner kick to us, to the near post, and Badiashile can't get his header on target, unfortunately goes over the top of the bar, but at least we registered a couple of attempts at goal late in the first half, which hopefully just swings the momentum a little bit towards us. And it seemed to, just that last few minutes, we ended up the half with 5 shots at goal, 3 on target. So last couple of minutes, we began to get somewhere. Can we harness that in the team talk to move us forward? So we're going to go with point the finger. And let's go with, it wasn't the best first half. Show me what you're about in the second half. And then once we go into the second half, we're going to go into the shouts and fire them up. And I think we're just going to go on the attack as well. There's nothing else we can do. We've got to find a way to break them down, and they've done the reverse. They've got an early goal in the second half. That often happens, doesn't it? Focus is not quite there at the beginning of half sometimes, and the players have switched off. And it was a good swinging free kick into that far post, and Henderson on the back post, unmarked completely. There were a couple of guys at the back post for Liverpool, and he gets the header on and gets the goal, and they've taken a 2-0 lead. That's a big problem. Over the 2 games for a 2-0 lead, we now have to score a couple of goals to get anywhere near them, and they're back in possession again, and they've worked through the lines to get an attacking option, and it's Ramos again, and he puts it over the top of the bar on this occasion. Hasn't quite come back to bite us, particularly in this game just yet. But the pressure is beginning to show a little bit. Again, it's a right-sided throw-in for Liverpool, so they're pretty much having most of the highlights, let's be fair, and most of the possession. And again, it's Salah through, and it's Salah puts it away. Yeah, the curse is real at Benfica. Here's the big problem. Here's how I would describe our situation. We are not quite good enough for the Champions League, but we are too good not to qualify for the Champions League, because we are so successful in our own division that we qualify every season for it, because we either win or we finish second in the league. And that puts us in the Champions League. So we kind of have to lose in the group stages of the Champions League, potentially, to get put down to the Europa League, to potentially have a chance at a European trophy against teams that are kind of matching us. But how do you throw a Champions League group stage whilst keeping the momentum in your club? It's kind of a real catch-22 situation, to be honest. I'm not quite sure how best to go about it, but at the moment, it's fair to say that I think that we are struggling at this point in the Champions League for the 3 seasons that we've now been in it, unfortunately. So I'm just going to make a couple of changes here, because, we've got to get fresh legs in and try something for the remainder of the game. I want to make one more change. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, the players that I identified at the beginning of the day that needed to show up, none of them have. So we're actually going to bring Costa in rather than Simic on this particular occasion, because he plays the role I want him to play in replacing Mukoko up top. And the other couple of changes were self-explanatory, just for energy levels, really. We'll see whether it makes any difference. For the last 20 minutes, I don't really want to get battered by them. I still feel like the setup that we've got is potentially the best way of getting anything out of this team. I don't think we'll set up in any better fashion. I mean, we could put a central defender up top and launch balls at him and hope that his heading ability can get us something, but I don't think that suits the way that we're set up necessarily. But the other thing to say, of course, is we are now 3-0 down, so whatever we do, I'm not quite sure it's going to be enough. Sanchez with a really good long clearance. Darwin Núñez on the end of it, but then puts it over the top of the bar. And that's the problem that we've got. All of those shots that we are getting are all a little bit half attempts, really. We're trying to put the pressure on. We're trying to win the ball back a little bit earlier than we had done before, but it's a little bit late now. They didn't show up, particularly in the first half, doing this. They let Liverpool have too much of the possession and settle themselves into the game. And what What was that? That was terrible defending. We're very lucky that we didn't concede another one. Liverpool are a bit good, is what we've determined from today. They've had 18 shots at goal, only 5 on target, and somehow they've managed to get a couple of goals from that. It hasn't been a vintage display, but ultimately we just haven't had the answers to compete with it and turn it around in our own favour at all. And again, it's a highlight that started by Liverpool. 5 minutes to go. What do you do, chap? What do you do? I seriously think that our best way of getting to a European trophy is to drop out of the Champions League. But how do you do that and still keep the momentum in your club, in the domestic stuff and other bits and pieces, trying to kind of throw a Champions League group stage? Is that something I should be doing? Or should I just be trying to play it out and trying as hard as I can in the Champions League when we get up to these big boys and they kind of come and batter us? It's a tricky, tricky situation. I'm not so sure anymore whether it's a curse or just the way that the Portuguese league is in terms of its quality or sort of the lack of quality compared to some of the big leagues out there. You just can't compete when you come up against the really big ones. The best chance that we've got, of course, is that we find lots of good youngsters and we try and keep them together for 4 seasons and grow them together, and hopefully a generation can come together at the same time and be a successful team later on. But that's going to take a little bit of time. Anyway, they've got another goal. We are 4-0 down. The tie is gone. There's no point in me worrying about it. Liverpool are too good for us. But it's another season kind of come and gone. That's the 3rd one down now. I'm going to have a lot of work to do to get us through to next week's episode, where we're going to have to start a brand new season in the Champions League again. Yeah, this is going to be tricky. Let me know what you think in the comments below, how long I continue to try and do this for, and how you would try and navigate through to actually getting a European trophy. Give me some creative ideas as to what we could do, because just at the moment, we're too good for the league that we're in, and we're not good enough for the Champions League that we're trying to win. So there you go, and that even rhymed. Poet and didn't know it. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one. So let's go check out what we're going to do for next episode. So there are lots of benefits to being in the Champions League. I mean, we just got £8 million for our participation in it. So club financially are doing very, very well. Hopefully, we can turn that into some transfers for next season. We'll see whether we can continue to improve this team. There are improvements that we can make. I think maybe there's a central midfielder or two that we could potentially bring in. Maybe there's an option at one of the fullback areas still to improve it. We'll have to wait and see on that one a little bit. But yeah, it's a little bit of a baffling one, but Bella Gutmann was onto something here, the guy who cursed the club, because it still seems to be in effect somehow, because it's really, really hard to do. Anyway, that's going to do it for today. In terms of next episode, we come back and we go again. Season number 4 in the Champions League. We'll come back for the group stages or whatever qualifying round we need, depending on where we finish in the league this season. And we'll go again and hopefully get a decent draw in the group stages. Whether we get out or not from that will determine how successful we are later in the competition, maybe. But yeah, let me know about those ideas about how we can creatively do this, because I want to break this curse, but I'm not quite sure how we're going to manage it just at the moment. Anyway, that's going to do it for today. Really, really disappointing that we keep getting to this point in the season and then going out, but it is what it is. So thank you for joining me. Really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the series. I'm baffled by it, but we'll see whether we can find a way to win somehow. But subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Join my United City community. The more the merrier. Click that like button on this particular episode. That'll help me get seen by more people. Until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.